So I'll introduce myself first and then you can go. I'm Cynthia Becker. I'm the host of the reality series CPS Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but I'm a mom of two who lost her kids to CPS. After 2 years of fighting, I had to get my kids back. This is Audrey. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but there's 2 parts prior to this, and today I guess there's some really good news and I'm anxious to hear it. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Audrey Lesner. I reside in Amarillo, Texas. I am pro se in the courts, and today I had a hearing with an administrative judge. The social worker who is still in charge of the case, as far as I know, the CPS attorney, and surprisingly, I had the DA, who is normally on the criminal side. He doesn't stick his nose in the civil side unless he has nosy purposes. And Randall County's assistant was there as well to knock out the DA and get rid of him. He objected to my subpoena that I issued to Randall County yesterday. It was for the evidence that I was denied for the CPS trial. He said my subpoena was too broad. Now, this is what I want to say about the broad part of my subpoena. I issued a subpoena for all evidence, recordings, and documentation from Randall County. So when you're writing a subpoena to get something from the police department, from the DA's office, from wherever, you have to be very specific, is what they're saying we have to be. Fine, I can do specific. I'll just hand them 10 subpoenas that issue request for something very specific. So that lesson's learned. I did tell the court that I did not think the DA had any business in our hearing. I think I used the words merit. So after the subpoena was squashed, which was fine, the DA and Randall County assistant left. Then we got down to the nitty-gritty on the court case, that my petition reopened the case. My petition did stand. But the state said that, oh, everything's been done. The girls have been taken. Mrs. Lesner's rights have been terminated, and the girls have been adopted. So there's nothing left. Bullshit. So what I argued with the court was that my fundamental rights and my inalienable rights still stand. I am still the mother, whether they like to admit it or not. Your parental rights have been terminated legally, not fundamentally, not unalienably, if that's a word. I think that's a word. But so it was very educational speaking with this judge. However, he was biased. You could definitely tell that he was one-sided and that his decision was probably made before we even went into the courtroom. So the administrative judge did allow me to argue my case, and I did call CPS on the carpet and say, how can you have 2 reports, or actually more than 2 reports, contradicting each other, saying that I'm an unfit parent for my daughters, yet I'm a fit parent for my son? And they had no arguments. Surratt had said that they still think their objection to their objection to my petition should stand, and that their motion to dismiss my argument, my case, be granted. The judge did not say that I had no grounds to petition the courts to reinstate my parental rights. He he said he had no authority. So in essence, I have to take my case that I technically won today, people, to a higher court, and I can get my rights reinstated. So that is where I am at right now. I'm totally excited. I'm praising God. And it's a lesson learned, you know, for what the administrative judge said was that he had no authority over the Court of Appeals. Understandable. So my next question was, well, which court do I file this? There are 3 courts in every state. And so I couldn't do it with the lower court. So I take it to the Court of Appeals, which are corrupt. So I could dance around with them, or I could take it to the Supreme Court and have them decide whether or not it needs to go back to the Court of Appeals to be decided on. So I've decided to take it to the Supreme Court. I'm skipping over the Court of Appeals because, number one, I do not think that they are unbiased. I think they are very corruptive. And number two, I don't want to dance around with this any longer than I absolutely have to. I miss my girls. I really do. So, and I'm sure my daughters want to be home, God willing, before Christmas. So that is my good news. And like I said before in the other recordings, it is not over, people. The courts, the judges, the lawyers may all tell you, oh, there's nothing else you can do. Not true. There is always something. Remember the story of the widow who knocked on the judge's door and said, give me justice, give me justice. How many times did she go back? Give me justice. And the judge finally said, okay, fine, here's your justice. We have to be persistent. We have to be parents. Don't we, when we say no about something that's for the best of our child, we stick to our guns. If we decide later on, you know, maybe that's okay to do, you know, then we can change our mind. But we ultimately have to do what is in the best interest of our child. So that is why I am taking this to the Supreme Court now, and I am petitioning them to overturn the decision of the Court of Appeals mandate.
Wow.
Again, I was nervous. I don't think you're human if you don't go into that courtroom nervous, even on Zoom.
Right. Wow. That's awesome.
I still don't understand how the administrative judge could say that he had no authority. That threw me for a loop. But, okay, fine. He could not say that my petition to reinstate my parental rights had no merit, had no grounds.
And you talked to your husband today.
I did. I shared it with him. And I will be honest, I thought I lost my case. And I said, well, back to the drawing board. The judge said he had no authority. And my husband said, wait. He said he had no authority? Yes. How do you win your case? You just didn't go to the, you didn't go to the right court. Oh, whoops. Hey, I never said I was a professional in this. So you can be a dorky little parent like me and actually get something going and not even know it.
Yep.
So yeah, I listened to the recording and I did record the hearing. You are permitted by law, and it is my husband again. You are permitted to record any hearing. It is public.
Are you going to answer it?
Yes.
It is subject to monitoring. To accept the call, thank you for using conversation now.
Hi. Hi. I'm doing another recording. Do you want to say hi?
Hi. He's like, hell no. How are you? Can't hear me, huh?
Can you hear him? You can't hear me? Okay. I don't know why, honey, but this phone is just not loud enough. Can you call me back in an hour?
I got it.
Oh,
It's going to be a lot of people who want to use the phone.
oh, I see. Okay. Well, I'm doing a recording right now. I'm explaining to other parents what they have the ability to do.
Okay.
I love
don't
you.
need my input.
You know, I don't need your input.
No, I'm not asking. I'm just saying, so you don't need my input for anything.
Well, actually, I do, but we can't hear you.
Did you put me on speakerphone?
Yes,
I can hear him now. I can hear him now.
you can hear him now?
You didn't have me on speakerphone before.
Oh, I thought I did.
No, you did not.
So what are your thoughts about today's hearing, dear?
The fact that you won without actually winning.
Okay.
It's, from what you told me, the decision of the judge was to uphold the decision of the state due to the fact that he did not have the authority to reverse the decision made by a jury. Except the wording was that everything that you presented to was enough for him to believe that the decision should have been reversed.
So, honey, since we have you on the phone and we can hear you, do you want to tell the people your opinion about your criminal case?
My opinion,
The facts, honey. You want to share the facts?
be more specific.
Did you tell him about the other family that's going through what you're going through right now?
Yes, I did.
What was his opinion on that?
It doesn't surprise him. They're desperate to put people in prison for money. That's what they're doing.
Well, they're also not releasing for parole that are still locked up, and they are not being let go. And I just Texas.
Yeah. Okay, so honey, will you tell the people whether or not you are innocent or guilty? Can you explain to the people why you can't say specifically?
What do you mean?
I mean, you can't out and say what you were accused of, what you were convicted of because of the position, because you're in prison right now.
Can't.
Nobody knows about each other's charges. That's how they keep them safe. That's why he can't just come out and say, I didn't molest my daughter.
Right.
There are people that found those actions very strongly, and they are more than willing to get into a
Honey, I wasn't in the courtroom, so you go ahead and explain to the people what was said. Was there any physical evidence brought against you?
no.
Who testified against you?
Carol, Jennings, Caitlin, and a couple officers.
With no evidence.
No physical evidence. No.
No physical evidence.
This was all hearsay and a he said, she said testimony.
And what I remember that you said was everybody's testimony was different.
Honey, did their testimonies, were they compatible?
The officer. No. Jennings and Caitlin, yes.
What about the same nurse?
She gave her statement. It's hers. It
he talking right now? Because it cut out.
Yes.
What?
Oh, can you repeat that, honey? Honey, where's the speaker on the computer?
Speaker's on the side.
Oh,
Back side.
can you hear him now? Ah, I found it. I thought it was closer to the screen. My bad.
But it goes out. It goes in and out. It's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Microphone is either closer to the front or it's next to the camera.
Right there where you are.
What?
Right where you are. Don't move it.
Don't move it. Roger that. Okay, did when Katie testified, was she directed by the DA? Like, did he talk a lot for her?
He talked, tried to explain what he was asking, and everything she said almost something that resembled memorization.
Coaching?
But he tried to explain as simply as he could what he was asking, but everything she said almost was like she memorized it.
Almost like what?
Memorized it.
How was that sitting in the courtroom with your daughter sitting there and saying this stuff?
I didn't quite catch that.
How did you feel about Katie testifying against you?
I was proud. And
Proud and what?
He was proud that she was willing to stand up for herself. She was willing to do that, is what he said.
but I didn't feel good that she.
It cuts out.
One of these days I'll find the speaker or the...
It isn't, I don't know if it's the phone, but it like cuts out to where you just hear him like far, far away. But can you,
Phone system in the prison.
what did he say though?
He said it's probably the phone in the prison. Probably right. Honey, is it easy for you to say that your daughter is lying about you?
No.
How do you feel about that? Can you hear him?
Yeah, I don't know what they did to make her have that idea. I don't know what it was.
I will say it is not easy to accept the fact that your daughter is falsifying statements, but I also tell myself, look at the position she's in. She's being promissory, you can go live with your mom. We won't hurt your sisters.
Did I ever tell you, and I hope your husband can hear this, when I was in 5th grade, there was a bunch of girls that came forward about the PE teacher.
Yes.
And the way that they ask you, well, did he help you hold a bat? Yes, he did. Well, did he wrap his arms around you to show you how to hold the bat? That's typically how it's done. Yeah.
Right.
Did he move your legs for the stance? Yes, he did. They took everything that I said and flipped it to where it was inappropriate. And when there's so many girls saying it, your head starts to believe it. Maybe he did touch me and I didn't. I don't know.
Right. It's all how they mold the mind of the child.
And
why I submitted in my exhibits FMS, which is false memory syndrome. I wanted the judge to look at the paperwork and notice the pattern of how CPS molds a child's mind and how they explained the mind molded is easily controlled.
And I watched Will and M. O'Donnell's case online because it was broadcasted. And it blew me away that they're literally not allowing Emily to see her kids because she still loves her husband and believes and trusts that he is innocent.
That's my fault.
Now you're not a good enough mom
against me
to have your kids because you believe that man. And like you said, I want to emphasize what you said about the girls being coached or kids being coached. You can go home. You can have more visits with your mom. You can do this. I promise we'll give you this. And kids are so easily
manipulated.
Yes. I'm like, what word do I want to use? I was going to use the F word. Because that's the word I can think of. Their brains are so easily able to be effed with. That's why we call them little sponges.
You know what they're trying to say now? I had a counselor tell me this one time, and I just chewed on it for months. Children are resilient. Kids are resilient. So they're almost guinea pigging our kids to see how far they can push a resilient person before they snap.
I don't feel like kids are that resilient because
either.
I don't. I'm actually going to do I'm going to actually do a file about the PTSD and the trauma that happens to families once they're reunited or not, because, and I'm not going to be specific to my kids. I'm going to be specific to every parent I've interviewed and the things I've heard off camera, because it affects our children for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And I don't know what CPS, it's just all of it is horrible. Everything is horrible.
And we're unfortunately a couple that's living it. And our kids are being told, oh, your mommy doesn't love you anymore. Oh, your mommy's dead. Oh, your mommy's going to be in prison soon. Your mommy's in jail.
Those things stick with them. Like the things that my kids are still struggling with, and I'm not gonna specifically talk about my kids because the last thing I need is a social worker watching this and saying I'm gonna go take her kids away because of that. So I'm not gonna give them any evidence on my own, but I'm gonna talk about all the things that I've heard parents say that their kids struggle with. It's insane. And yes, you're going through it right now, but I went through it and I'm still struggling with it. And my kids, the emotional breakdowns that they have, the insecurities that they have, the anxiety. My son, I can say this, but if he can't, there are certain times, it's not all the time, if he can't see me,
he panics.
To where he refers to it as an actual heart attack.
Oh my stars.
He tells me, mommy, I had a heart attack because I couldn't see you and you walked away and I didn't know where you were and I didn't know if I was going to see you again. And I'm like, honey, I was in my room, which is in the back of the house. I would have had to pass you to get to the front door. And I didn't leave my kids. They were taken from me. But they were told I left. They were told I didn't want them back.
Honey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. No, honey, you're fine. We wanted to hear from you because a lot of people do ask me, well, how do you know your husband is innocent? Does your husband say he's innocent? You know.
Okay, let's ask him that. How do you know your husband is innocent?
Honey, how do you know you're innocent?
I would have been there.
Did you say I would have been there?
If I actually did it, I would have been. So I wasn't there.
The most simple yet honest answer.
He is very honest. And my husband is very technical in his words. He doesn't beat around the bush. He will tell you directly what he thinks.
So if you weren't there, do you think your children, your girls, were sexually assaulted by somebody else? I can't hear him.
He said he doesn't know.
It was. She anything, and there was nothing.
I heard nothing, and that was it.
With the house to show that someone broke in.
Somebody broke in?
Yes, somebody broke into our house on Easter morning. We woke up to a flying open front door that I know my husband bolted shut when we went to bed. My husband always does the security watch on our house.
I'm shutting the camera off for just a minute, but I'm right here listening.
Okay.
Okay, so what happened?
So we woke up that Sunday morning, Easter morning, and the door was wide open. There's only one other person that has a key to our house, and it was our landlord. So,
Who's the landlord? Like, is he somebody that you would suspect has done something?
No.
no, his son, yes.
You know, I've been thinking about your case a lot, and one thing I wanted to ask you too. Do you remember the cousin or your nephew, right? That.
Yeah, my nephew.
Okay. Do you think he ever did anything? Because he had quite.
Yes.
What?
Well, Danny's been watching pornography, so your guess is as good as mine. In pornography, they do a whole bunch of evil stuff to kids.
Do you think he did it, or just talked about it, or do you think he tried to explore?
I can't make that assumption.
Okay.
I am as evil as Nicole Grant is. I am not that evil, and I'm not going to accuse someone until I've investigated the entire situation before I make a false accusation on someone. And, oh, you'll love this. So I ran into another person that told me there is a video of my sister committing the crime that she's been accused of.
What crime?
Well, falsifying documents, federal documents, and having an affair with an inmate.
The sister that has the kids?
This is their expert witness.
That has your kids, right?
No, she, as far as I know, she doesn't have my kids.
Who has your kids right now?
My estranged brother.
The ones that asked to adopt your kids, right?
The ones that asked to adopt our daughters have adopted.
Isn't it amazing how that works out? Like, I'm sorry, but it just.
It's not
Can I have
amazing.
your kids?
It's
No.
very
Okay, well, I'm going to get them a different way.
It's very obvious. They had asked for Charlotte, and in return, they get all four.
Do you happen to know when the last time you saw them, were they having to refer to them as mom and dad?
They are forced to call them mom and dad. And I even have my sisters telling me that my daughter Katie refuses to call Kat her mother because she hates her, number one, and she says she's fat.
What is your husband's opinion on them ending up with the kids after asking for?
Honey, what's your opinion on that? With Peter and Kat winding up with our daughters.
After money. That is after money. Peter just has no different stipulations that they goes into is not exactly, especially for with as young as they are.
Can you kind of paraphrase what he said, because it cuts in and out?
Rats. He said it is unkind for them to force our daughters to do something that they don't want to do.
Such as call them mom and dad.
Such as call them mom and dad, use them for money, use them for government benefits, and ultimately get a reward for doing evil, is a nice way to put it. But you would think that the criminal court would have had Peter and Kat testify.
They didn't?
They did not have the foster parents testify in the criminal case.
Did you tell the courts that they had previously asked for your youngest daughter?
Yes.
What did they say? That's a lie?
Are they supposed to care?
No.
Exactly. They didn't care. Honey, what's the word I'm looking for when you move away from something, when you avoid something?
Redirect.
They redirected. Thank you, love. They redirected the question and seized other opportunities, I guess is what you could say.
All right.
Subject, yes, that's fair enough to say.
I have bug bites all over my body right now.
Oh, my son and I are covered in mosquito bites.
Yeah, that's what it is. My daughter had one like that big on her knee. I felt so...
No! Oh my gosh, my poor boy's got red spots on him. I'm like, are those chicken pox? No, they're not. They're mosquito bites. My legs are covered in mosquito bites. And I'm the kind of person that scratches, so. But anyways, in court, all they ask the foster parents is, do the girls have a bed?
Yeah.
Clothes?
Yeah.
Have food? Do they have schooling? We're good.
You homeschooled them, didn't you?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Are they being homeschooled now, or are they in a public school?
Well, thanks
Well,
to COVID,
not during COVID, but prior.
they were shoved in public school against our wishes.
Wow.
Kat claims that she couldn't homeschool our daughters.
Why?
If you can't keep up with what I was able to manage, you obviously aren't a fit parent.
That's the funny part.
Really didn't.
You say that's funny?
Hold on a second.
He said she didn't do anything. That's the funny part. She is the laziest person you will ever meet. She sits on her butt every chance she gets and plays on her phone.
Is that the person who messaged me?
No, that was Mikkel. No, that was Darla. That was Darla. I love it. She actually, my tires got slashed. After Darla found out about the video, my tires mysteriously got slashed.
All of them?
Not all of them, just the driver's side. They expected me to drive on it, which I lingered with the truck. I always do. And I search it because, yes, my older sister is the kind of person that will put a rattlesnake in your vehicle. No joke. She is evil. I honestly believe that CPS, the DA, Randall County, or the the Rowleys would harm the Lesners.
You know, before I got married, I was a firefighter, and I was sexually harassed. And I didn't go forth and complain because there had already been a sexual harassment case that was brought up where they accused a captain of sexually assaulting me under the age of 18, which was untrue. but they put that man in prison. I was the only person who he supposedly molested or raped. I went forth and I said, this never happened. Never happened. They took away his pension and everything, and I went after them to get him free, and I got him free. But then it happened. I was sexually assaulted. They broke into my house. My dad caught them with cameras on the house. You watch them walk right up and stare at the camera and snip it. They broke in. They jacked off on my bed. They broke in twice, a year apart on the same day.
Oh my God.
The DA was involved. They failed the lie detector test, and none of them were ever punished.
They didn't even have a picture. I told the DA, I think I told you guys this before, if you've got one shred of evidence, they've got forensics for goodness sake, one shred of evidence, you can have my husband. But until then, back the fuck off. And the DA dropped the 2 charges and brought back 12 charges on my husband's birthday.
On his birthday.
On his birthday. They did that on purpose. You know, I saw Love today. The DA,
Oh, what?
Robert Love, he was on our hearing for a little while.
There's a movie called Love. You don't want
He has the biggest nose. All I could see when he got on there was his nose. I was like, damn, dude. I mean, you make all that money, get a nose job.
There's a movie on Netflix called Love, and it's very
Yeah, I know. Well, Robert Love the second is he is not appealing at all. But he did give me an idea for my husband's criminal trial, which I don't want to say anything on camera because I want it to be a surprise. What, honey?
You have 1 minute left.
We have 1 minute left.
Okay.
Honey, do you want to say anything before you go?
Not be a good time for that.
Okay.
Tell him thank you so much for sharing, and that we're still praying for him, and he's got a lot of people that have love for him.
Honey. Yeah, I love you. We love and miss you. Keep praying. Okay. Yes, dear. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye, boo. So anyway, essentially the hearing this morning was in my favor, but it wasn't. So although the judge did not say that he was going to reverse the decision made by the jury, he did say that he didn't have the authority. So anyway. And I was talking with somebody else that told me he does have the authority. He just doesn't want to be the one to have to do it.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, that's my news. It's an ongoing battle, but as long as the parents continue to fight, the state has to give in at some point.
Well, you're doing awesome. I'm excited to see what happens.
I don't know about awesome, but
You are. You know why? Because you wake up every morning by yourself. You are raising a boy without his father. And yet you're still fighting. every day. So I get to say you're doing awesome, and you get to shut up and say thank you.
Thank you. My heart does go out to all the moms that are suffering, and all the dads that are suffering, and all the children, because they're confused. They don't know what's true and what's not. They're told to believe something and they do because they just want to appease their captors. And that's where Stockholm Syndrome comes in.
Explain that again.
Stockholm Syndrome? Stockholm Syndrome is where a person who is taken captive agrees with their captor in order to survive, in order to be able to get out of the situation that they're in. They think, hey, if I agree with the person, they're going to let me go. Stockholm Syndrome can actually go hand in hand with false memory syndrome. And I am not by any means one to differentiate the two. You would have to have a specialist do that. And I think the state causes more damage in people's minds than they give credit for. And it's not a good credit. It's a negative credit. It's a shame on you for causing all of these mental instabilities because you want to make money off of people. It's in slavery. And they're getting away with it because they're the law. So.
I'm glad that every time we talk, we get to talk to your husband. I feel like he must call you 24/7 in that case, but it's just my luck, I think.
I think it'd be a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for letting us have an update.
Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome.
I hope that I had some good information for parents and for other people.
Yeah, you're giving hope.
When I put on my Facebook page the posting for 3 ways to have a trial, I thought there were only 2. And the first one is a trial by judge. The second one is a trial by jury. The third one is a trial by combat. And it is still legal. They may not want to say that, oh, it's inappropriate, whatever. It's still legal.
Huh. I didn't know that.
A trial by combat is where the accused challenges the prosecutor to a fight. And if whoever wins the case.
Like a physical fight?
It is a physical fight. With no evidence brought against the accused can consider himself insulted. And it is a fair duel. If the prosecutor doesn't show up, he forfeits the case.
That's still legal?
It's still legal.
Wow. Let's do that one.
Trust me, I'm thinking about it.
Right? Us mommies, like, when we get that mad, we can, like, destroy a home, a person, a bear.
Well, I think that people need to understand that tyranny can only go so far in the United States. Whether they like it or not, this is not a tyrannic country. We separated from England for a reason. Our Constitution stands for a reason. Our Declaration of Independence is with us for a reason. So, despite what the courts want to say, even the Supreme Court of the United States, they cannot uphold tyranny. It is the people's responsibility to hold the courts in contempt if they do. If you read the Constitution, it actually gives the people the right to remove judges. It gives the people the right to remove the president. But I personally think we need to keep Trump in for another 4 years because, yeah, that's just me.
All right, don't go anywhere. I'm going to end all this. Hold on.
Okay.